gentlemen, welcome to episode 3 of Debates Never Die. I'm your host today, Khanya Mosetlhi. Today we are joined by Malcom, Masvikwa, Rindai, and Tobi. Sheiks, please do speak to the people. Let's hear you, sir. How are you?
What's up, Oaks? I'm easy, bro. How are you?
No, I'm all good. I'm all good. Sheiks, I want to ask you first. What's your biggest takeaway from this weekend?
From this weekend, it's definitely, dude. You know, Arsenal are my existence. It's really that game against Fulham, dude. I won't lie. I thought we were down and out because I've seen that game end the same way, like since I've been an Arsenal fan my whole life. That game where we dominate but we don't score, and then defensive error, they score. It always ends one way. You know, whether it's Stoke City, whether it's Everton, that 3-0 when Lukaku finished us, like the Swansea game with Michu, it always ends one way. But Arteta's boys found a way back, so that was really nice to see. That was the standout moment for me. Um, and I think the West Ham, man, I'm scared for those guys, bro. Yeah, I am
Yeah, it's
terrified
not
for those
looking
guys.
good. It's not looking good. It's not looking
For
good.
real,
But
for
no,
real, for real.
I echo your sentiments. We've seen that Arsenal game many, many times before, and for me, it's the fact that we actually won it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we could have won that in a better way. The person who made the mistake makes up for it, bags the winner. Like, that is the stuff of dreams, really.
It was a
Like,
foul
No,
on
for real.
by the way. It was a foul, but we
No,
moved.
it was.
But we moved in it.
Toby, your team
Nah.
barely beat Southampton. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Your team's finally got some wins on the board. How are you feeling about
I've been smiling. I'm not gonna lie. I've been walking differently. Two wins on the bounce. First away win in a long time. So I think Ten Hag is cooking something there. He's cooking something there in Manchester. and then today Anthony arrived. I saw a video of him at Carrington right now. Man is smiling. I don't know if he can speak English. Half our team can't speak English now, but yeah. Hopefully we can still cook something. But in terms of standout, I'm gonna have to go with Malcom again. That Aston Villa Alsaki co-match, my goodness, bro. Like, because for me, I thought like Moyes, he had to start at some point. He had to start winning some games properly. I don't know. Like, did you guys think it was a good match or?
Nah,
No.
dismal.
Nah.
Look, I think West Ham probably are they're probably a better team. So I guess the better team ended up winning, but the performances on both sides weren't anything spectacular.
Yeah, especially
It's I think they're both in a very weird place.
Gerrard's days are numbered, bro.
Maybe too many signings at once. There's a lot to try and integrate, a lot of key signings. I don't know. I'm struggling to try and make sense of the issues. But lastly, Rindai, sir, we haven't heard from you. What's your biggest takeaway from this weekend?
Now, firstly, that Bournemouth are absolutely horrible. Like that was very embarrassing. We can't be losing 9-0 in the Premier League. And like Haaland's moving mad, bro. Like 6 goals in like 4 games. He's going crazy. Yeah, he's going for like golden boot.
Yeah, no, Sheiks, I think we argued quite extensively in the group. You said you felt that we were rather harsh about Bournemouth's performance.
It just doesn't make sense to judge a team that has played the 3 best teams in the league in their first 4 games as a new club. Like Oaks, it happened to. I'm pretty sure it happened to Leeds in their first season too, when they lost to Liverpool 4-2, and then I'll have to check, but they ended up being.
As well.
What do you mean?
Well, you guys lost your first 3 games, didn't you?
What does Arsenal have to do with this, Toby?
No, I mean
I get you. Like last season,
Arsenal lost the first 3 games, didn't you?
Like last season, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
No,
I get you. Yeah, no.
Yeah, for me personally, I just think like the way they played, bro. It's like, dude, you know you're playing Liverpool, dog. You feel me? Like you're not playing a championship team, bro. Like if you need to play with top defenders, play with top defenders, bro. You can't play Liverpool.
Nah, but dude, that you need the Oaks to get the experience for that level, bro. Like this is why there are 2 types of championship teams. There are championship teams that come to the Prem and for better or worse will actually try and play expansive football. Then there are those Oaks that completely just revert to Brexit ball. And I don't think in this era you can get away with Brexit ball. Burnley lied for a long time, but it caught up to them. And now they have Vincent Kompany as their head coach. Stoke City have not been back in how long? But then you get Oaks like Norwich, Oaks like Leeds, who, yes, Norwich always get relegated every season, but they keep coming back because they have a genuine identity. They play a certain style of football. I'm never gonna shit on a team for coming to Anfield and trying to play. Like, not everyone is good. That's literally the toughest fixture in the Prem. You can agree.
But sorry, as a manager, you cannot be coming with that squad and trying to play, bro. You know you have to go to one certain game plan. I'm sorry, bro.
Come on. Sheiks, you made a very good point, and I hear you. The Norwich one less so, but still, the fact that they keep coming back does kind of add to your point.
Yeah.
But I agree. I'm more aligned with Tobi and Rindai in that I think there are certain games where you have to put that aside and say, you know what, Oaks, where we're going right now, we're going to need to be a little bit more pragmatic and put the philosophy aside for a moment and just strategize for this game. You have to be as a one-off. You can't approach every team the same way.
Let me ask you this. You be pragmatic, you lose 5-0. Because there have been pragmatic teams that have gone to Anfield and lost 5-0. I told you guys the teams that got pieced up. So what would you guys rather have? When you play Liverpool, you lose 9, but you're actually trying to build on something that's long-term, or you completely revert, the players lose confidence in you as a manager, and you still get pieced up, bro.
Nah, bro, there's no building you're doing after losing 9-0, bro. Come on, bro. There's no building going on there, bro. I'd rather lose 4-0 than lose 9-0 every single day of the week.
What's the difference? Goal difference?
No, not even goal difference. Just like, bro, 9-0. Come on, bro. Like,
how do you go home? What do you tell your children?
That's worse for your confidence than parking the bus and still losing. I feel like losing 9-0 is worse for your confidence, bro.
They'll be bullying your child at school, bro. Say your dad caught 9.
No. Oh, I don't want to linger on this for too long, but hold on. I just want to quickly look at something. Didn't Southampton lose 9-0 a few?
Twice. They lost twice. They lost 9-0 to United and they lost 9-0 to Leicester.
And would you say Southampton now are in a better place than where they had been seasons prior to that?
Most definitely, but I put that down to a lot of witchcraft. I don't know how Hudson will be doing this. Last season, I thought they're probably going down. And so, like, your point is captured, though. Like, they are better off because they stuck to their philosophy. They knew what they were trying to work towards.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't completely fight that point. Like, it's valid. It is valid.
Yeah, it is valid.
Given or valid. I just think, like, the three of us really do think that there are certain games where you're going to lose regardless. Try and keep it respectable. But
and just look, Malcolm,
the evidence might suggest.
Yeah, Bielsa, you end up like Bielsa, bro. So that's my point. Bielsa try to push that thing, and you know what happened.
No. But you see, Bielsa was just pure chaos. That nigga was the Joker because I'm not saying be like crazy. In the third, fourth game of the season, Oaks, you could nick a victory. Do you think Fulham first game of the season against Liverpool, superb? Were they being safe and pragmatic, or did they find Liverpool on an off day and actually get a result? I'm just saying, Oaks, 4 games.
Okay, I hear you. I just think that Fulham also have the player quality to try and do that. Bournemouth squad that's the worst squad in the league.
You think Bournemouth have
even Klopp said it, bro.
I do think they're the worst squad in the league. Who would you pick?
I'd have to give it some thought, to be honest.
Malcolm, you have to say Bournemouth, bro.
I'd have to give it. I'm not trying to defend Bournemouth, but I'd have to genuinely. Oaks, Fulham finished 2 points ahead of Bournemouth in the championship last season, so clearly the difference in squad isn't that heavy.
Fulham then went and bought João Palhinha, and that has made a huge difference.
Even Pereira's made a bit of a difference. There's players
they've strengthened. But alas, look, we can argue about this forever. Truly, debates never die. There are more important. There are more important games than Bournemouth. So what I want to ask you guys next is, and I hate that I have to do this, Vinicius Junior.
Thank you.
How good do we think he actually is? Rindai has championed him longer than anybody I know personally, and it looks like he's found a star. Found someone even when people thought that he might not make it. How good do we think Rindai? Not Rindai. How good do we think Vinicius is going to be?
They're synonymous. Rindai and Vinicius are the same person, bro. I'm telling you. I think Rindai should take this. Yeah.
Okay. So the question is what's the ceiling, basically?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For me, definitely a Ballon d'Or winner. Multiple.
Shit.
Maybe 2. I definitely think he has best player in the world potential, and and there's not much I have to say. I think
the proof is in the pudding, essentially.
Yeah. I think because Brazil are my favorites to win the World Cup. So if if they win the World Cup with Vinicius, they like, come on, bro. Like he's 22, he'll be 22, like, and he's basically won everything that he needs to win. So yeah, that's my take.
That is, I have like an internal issue with the idea of Rindai being right about anything. Sheiks, how do you feel about Vinicius? How good do you think he actually is? What do you think his apex would be?
I'm still okay. I'm not torn on anything as it pertains to his ability as a player. I think that's pretty much, yeah, that's cemented. That he's gonna lead this generation for sure. But what I'm questioning is his player type as a winger. I still see him as an auxiliary piece to a great side. I don't see him as the leading man, the way Ronaldo led Madrid, for example, or even Hazard at Chelsea. So for me, when you ask me like what his ceiling is, I'm torn between. I see it in one of two ways. I see it as either like Rivaldo for Brazil, you know, one of the greatest wingers of all time there, who won a Ballon d'Or and had like seasons of greatness, but couldn't bear the load on his own without a team. Like he kind of faded away as time went on, but he was still a very important piece to the 2002 World Cup for Brazil. You can actually even argue he outdid Ronaldo at that tournament, like holistically speaking. Or he's gonna walk like down the avenue of say like a Ronaldinho or like, you know, or even a Neymar to a certain extent, where like you carry a team and you bear the load of a whole attacking force. So with Vinicius, that's the only question I'm asking. I was skeptical about a lot of things, say 2 seasons back, but the way this guy has developed, especially offensively, bro, it's ridiculous. Like, you know, you can just see someone take that step from being competent and talented to like specializing in something. Like it's actually, yeah, no, Rindai, you have a hit, bro. I won't even cap.
Thank you.
It's undeniable, sadly. But yeah,
Yeah.
Tobi, and you?
Nah, definitely. I think we need to be like mindful of this, because I think it was me and Rindai that found this guy, because we were in Brazil. We watched him.
No. Rindai found him. Let's stop that right now.
Don't do that.
Try again. One more
Rindai.
time, Tobi.
Sorry?
You can try that again without the lie this time.
And don't mention my name.
Nah,
Don't
but I have to
mention my
echo
name.
Rindai there. Yo, this guy, he's a player, bro. I think. Yeah, no, all I can say is Rindai was right, because I think we've seen him. He's a serious player, man, a very, very serious player. But I don't know. We just have to see. Maybe, hopefully, he's not like an injury-prone player like his friend Hazard is. But we'll just see how it goes. But I think his ceiling is very, very high. In terms of Ballon d'Or, I'm expecting a clean sweep from Mbappe in the future, but we'll see what happens.
So what's his ceiling though? Be specific.
What do you mean?
Don't
Like top 3, top 5 player? Like,
top
is he?
3. I'd say top 5. Top 5, definitely.
Yeah, I just want to go back to Malcom's point about like the Rivaldo and Ronaldinho comparison. Firstly, like, I don't think there's no great player who's carried the team by themselves, bro. Messi didn't, Ronaldo didn't. You feel me? Like, they didn't, bro. They only won when they
You think so?
Yeah, I feel like the only one when they had like great pieces around them. I don't think there's a player who's carried the team like a great player who carried the team by themselves. Personally,
can I rebuttal there?
Yeah.
In that season where Messi scored 91 in the calendar year, in that year he scored something like 40% of Barcelona's goals. So when I say carry a team, I don't necessarily mean it in like a basketball sense where you carry the whole team, but I mean
you are the focal point.
Yeah, what you're there to carrying.
So you being the focal, but I feel like right now, like, Hiloki is the focal point though.
He's not the focal point, boy. It's
Benzema.
It's Benzema.
Listen, I didn't say he's the best player, but Benz needs Vinny, bro. Benz needs Vinny.
But like, Vinicius needs Benzema more.
Vinicius needs Benzema. True, but like because like you also mentioned it, Khanya, like Benz has been performing like the past 2 seasons before Vinicius actually like rose, but we only like got to the next level when Vinny like came. You feel me?
When he got a little bit of help, and I think that's more what you're saying earlier when you're saying that one player can't be the sole reason the team wins. Yeah. But even with that being the case, Madrid won the league primarily on Benzema's back.
Yeah, no, they definitely did.
Yeah, and even now, like with Vinicius having taken this step further, he is very clearly like it's his tag team partner. He's not the guy. This is still very much Benzema's team. Yeah. And I agree with Malcom that I don't think we've seen Vinicius in a game where Benzema really is not present, or just like if he's out of the side where he does it like that in a big game. El Clasico is probably a bad example because it's a very random game that we saw, and Madrid really were poor structurally for a lot of different reasons. But I think it's really telling that's what happened when there was no Benz. Yeah, everything goes through him right now.
That's true.
So my stance is like the same as Malcolm's, is that he's really, really good. That can't be denied, and he works perfectly in this team. And if you like create the same things around him, then there's no stopping him. But in a world where it's only him, like where he is far and away, like if he is clearly better than every single player in that team, I don't know if it's exactly the same.
Yeah, not yet.
I have a question for the group.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes.
It's this post Messi Ronaldo era is really weird because Madrid and Barcelona are the magnum opus of football. I mean, they've always kind of been to a certain extent, but like in the past, Oaks could leave, Barcelona and then go to Inter Milan, AC Milan, Napoli, like Maradona did, for example. But now it seems like when you get to Barcelona and Madrid, that's it. So what do you Oaks think happens? Say Vinicius has a great career. He does everything he needs to do. What comes next for him? Like, where does he go? Or do you guys think he retires at Madrid?
Yeah.
That's a very good question. So I have a rather controversial view on Brazilian attackers that I've shared with you guys. I don't believe that their peaks are ever really that long. For me, I see Vinicius at Madrid for the next 5 years, max. I'd be very surprised to see Madrid continue to build around him like indefinitely. I hope it's the case. I really do hope it's the case. I'd love for that to be how his career turns out. But like as I said, as much as I think he's really, really good, because of that lack of belief I have in him being the sole focal point, I think there's a chance that Madrid might outgrow him, especially if there was another player to emerge. I also think that there's a lot that's unresolved at Madrid as well with regards to Rodrigo as well. I feel like there's a reason they bet on 2 left wingers. I don't think it's so set that Vinicius is never ever leaving.
Khanya, can I ask?
Yeah.
So you rate Madrid sell Vinicius when he enters his prime at 27?
I think that in the same way people might have said Madrid were a bit too quick to sell Ronaldo when they did, I think they'll sell him when the time is right. And I don't think he's going to
give me an age.
Now,
give me an age.
28.
28. Interesting.
28.
Let me ask you a question, Sheiks. I think he's going to stay at Madrid for like 10 years, like another 10 years. I think he's only going to leave once he starts getting a bit washed. Because,
I think.
And I feel like he's won the hearts of everyone in Madrid. You feel me? He works hard. Like he's not really a selfish guy. You feel me? Like he's our Starboy, bro, and he loves Madrid. Like you can see he genuinely loves Madrid, bro. Like when Ronaldo came to Madrid, like obviously we loved him, but like you can see Ronaldo didn't love Madrid. You get me?
I don't think Madrid fans loved him like that either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we didn't exactly, and Madrid fans didn't love Ronaldo like that too, which is true.
You guys love Ronaldo like that
because he's fucking selfish.
Yeah, exactly.
Put quite simply.
I think with like Ronaldo versus Vinny, that's a good point, bro. Because the moment I had faith in Vinicius, because I share Kanye's skepticism with Brazilian strikers, forwards or players in general. Actually, forwards, because their midfielders seem fine, but their forwards are fine.
Yeah, if you play in the front three as a Brazilian, I'm nervous for you.
Yeah, when I started to have faith in Vinicius was when I saw the jeans that this guy wears, because he's clearly not in the streets like that. Like he's clearly like I don't know if you guys have seen those like ripped jeans that he wears, those like rockstar. I'm like, nah, this guy, he's focused. And also, like on a more serious note, it was Rindai actually made me realize this. The way this guy tracks back, bro, it's different, bro. Like in my how many years of 16, 15 years of watching football, like to a relatively attentive level, I don't think I've ever seen a Brazilian track back like this, like ever.
Yeah, facts though.
So yeah, I think that's a fair point. I also see, like, I asked the question because, I mean, obviously the football landscape may evolve, but if given how it is now, I agree with Rindai. I think it'll be a situation of when he starts to veer off a bit, he could get sold. However, Oaks, I don't think Perez will be there at that point. I think in 10 years' time, 7, 8 years' time, it'll be a new guy at the top. So who knows?
No, that's a very crucial point as well. Like Madrid probably won't look the same as well, holistically.
Mm-hmm.
But that's enough about Rindai's favorite player. The last thing I wanted to ask you guys about football's biggest talent factories: Ajax, Monaco, and Dortmund. You guys are welcome to add other suggestions as well. Where do you guys think the most talent really comes from? Because some United somehow paying this 100 million for a Brazilian winger from Ajax feels ridiculous. But if you buy a talented player from most clubs, you probably want to shop from Ajax. Like they tend to produce some of the best players. Tobi, you're a United fan. You're the person who has to deal with the repercussions of this signing. How do you feel about all of this?
So your question is, how do I feel about Anthony in general, or just Ajax in general in terms of the way
I think
it's a combination of things. It's how you feel about buying from Ajax in general, how you feel about Anthony as well.
Yeah. So I've been talking about Anthony for like the last 2 years. He's a very, very decent player. He's a very decent player. I don't know how he's going to adapt to the Premier League, because obviously a completely different league to the Eredivisie, where it's like a lot more, not lackadaisical, but I mean the defenders are serious in the Prem compared to the Dutch league. So I don't know. As a winger or whatever, his numbers are decent. I think he has like over 18 goals in 57 games for Ajax. So like it's not terrible. But I don't know. I think in terms that his player profile is something that we've needed at Manchester United, and I think it's something that will help, I guess, like a lift. But yeah, I don't know. In terms of Ajax in general, yeah, those guys have shagged us. They have shagged us.
So Ajax, your pick for like probably the best talent factory in Europe.
Yeah,
or would you say another team?
Ajax, definitely. Ajax, Benfica as well. That's another one. But yeah, Ajax for me is one of the biggest.
Okay. Who's your favorite player to come from Ajax, Tobi, in recent years?
Okay, taking away all like recency bias in terms of how they play, for me it was going to be Van der Beek, obviously.
Come on, bro.
Sorry.
No, I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. Take away all recency bias how they play. That was my favorite player. Sorry?
No, I'm not talking all time. I'm saying like modern history.
No, talking about modern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. That's why I'm saying Van der Beek personally. But yeah, I don't know. Anthony's another serious player that was going to come, so I'll hopefully he bangs in it.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you guys couldn't have signed. Well, you could have signed someone, but like clearly, Ten Hag felt you couldn't have not signed him. So let's hope for the best. I hope you do know that he is on fraud watch, though. There's never going to be a time where a United player
give him like
is watched more attentively. 2 years. How much time do you give Pepe?
2 seasons. I mean, 2 seasons. 2 seasons.
How much time do you give Pepe? Sir, please, 100M every week, every misstep will be analyzed. Malcom, who would you say is probably football's biggest talent factory?
Premier League specifically.
You can interpret however you wish. Whatever answer you have, I'm curious about your take.
Okay, so between Ajax, Monaco, and Dortmund, I think in recent years, those have been the 3 biggest. I know Tobi gave a shout out to Benfica too, but I have them probably like 4th or 5th. I'm definitely leaning towards Monaco. I think those guys, when it comes to... Personally, I believe the French league develops players better than any other league in the world, right? And there's so many... I mean, obviously the Premier League, you could argue, but that it's a different type of player development. That's developing to like, being elite. I'm saying developing them to the point of being competent and being like league ready or international team ready. I think League 1, Ligue 1 is the leaders at that. And Monaco, bro, Fabinho, Bernardo Silva, Mbappe, Martial, like,
so many.
It's many. Lamar, it's ridiculous. When you look at these guys, even like historically, dude, like Henry, like Monaco, those niggas don't play. And of this whole, like, I guess a subsidiary from this topic could also be like, who is the best run team of the of this type of team? You know, like the talent factories. Obviously, your whole structure is to breed players and then sell them for profit. I also think think Monaco does it best because not only do they make the profit as the other two teams do, but they actually remain competitive. Like Dortmund over the past few years have been, a bit wonky. Ajax, it's harder to gauge their competitiveness in the Eredivisie, so you kind of have to look at how they do in the Champions League, and they've only really had one serious run in the past however many years. But Monaco, dude, they're stealing leagues from PSG. They are, having fucking fairy tale runs in the UCL. Nah, like that team for me, it's obviously aided by the fact that as a country, Monaco is just so, so independent and removed from the struggle of us plebeians in the third world. But Oaks, like AS Monaco for me, that is one of football. I think it is I know it's a bit controversial to say the greatest because Ajax, I think historically speaking, it is Ajax, but like, yeah, no, and I don't involve Barcelona in this because they produce talent to keep talent. So obviously they would be leading this conversation if they're involved. But yeah, for me, it's Monaco, man. I think those men have just been on it for years, for decades, bro.
Nah, definitely.
No, that's a very good shot. That's a very good shot. Personally, I think I'm going to choose Ajax because even though they're the biggest side in their country, you still have to be really well run to try and maintain that thing. Like Dortmund, I think, don't have much reason to not compete with Bayern a lot better than they do. They're constantly cycling through coaches, and the reason they can't retain their players rather isn't necessarily just because you always going to want to leave Dortmund. It's because there's no stability at Dortmund. Dortmund took Marco Rose from Gladbach. A year later, they were done with him. Completely abandoned that plan. They've now appointed the coach they had before they had Marco Rose. They started off quite terribly, and it's kind of added to the struggles that they've had in the past few years of just too many slow starts and taking too long to gel. And it's I think it's scary for Dortmund that you already know Bellingham is leaving next year. Like, and why would he stay? Like, so as much as I'd love to agree with you and say Monaco, I think they've also been aided by the fact that they've been more well off financially than the other options that we have. And I'd say it's been Ajax. Like the resources they have to actually draw from to produce as much as they've produced historically as well gives them that edge for me.
Yep.
But yeah. Rindai, what about you?
Yeah, wait, I'm just like confused. Like, what's the actual question? What are we debating? Are we debating like which club is better or which club has produced like the better talents?
Second one,
okay. Yeah, I probably have to agree with Malcom and say Monaco. I honestly think Ajax haven't, like, the players that in recent history that have left Ajax to go to a big club haven't really performed, in my opinion. Like Van de Beek, that's a whack going.
No, come on. Can I argue that?
Rindai,
just a quick
yeah,
thing.
What's up?
I've been saying that you can't really use. Okay, you can use other players, but you cannot use someone that goes to Man United. I think.
Why?
You go into chaos, like nonsense. Like it doesn't make any sense. So please, sir.
I don't think that's necessarily true. But yeah, and who's that guy who went to Chelsea? I don't know if he came from there. Yeah, he's also like, yeah, he hasn't done much. Frankie de Jong, I still have maintained my stance on Frankie de Jong. I don't think he's done enough at Barcelona. Like, it looks like he's a bench player this season. How is okay? I guess he's not a DM though, but like, I don't know. I just don't see if he's that good. I don't see why I can't into that squad, bro. You can't be getting benched by a 17-year-old in Gavi. Not saying Gavi's amazing, but like the young should be in his prime right now. So yeah, and then so I'll say Monaco, and I'll put Dortmund below them.
Second.
They've definitely produced a lot of stars for sure.
I mean, I hear the argument for Dortmund. Sorry, Tobi.
Sorry, I was going to say, just to add on to like Rindai in terms of Dortmund, right? Like, I think, because when we speak about this, I think we should also look at in terms of like, just smart scouting and not just in terms of like developing their talent from like academy and stuff. Because when you look at what they bought Aubameyang when he was 24, they sold him for a 32 million profit. Like, and the same with I think Mkhitaryan, they sold him for 26 million profit. So like, I think in terms of
Dembele.
actually their scouting network is actually really good. So I think that's another thing we can also look at.
Yeah, Dembele too. We can't forget about him.
Yeah, Dembele for over 108 million. Oh my bastard, bro.
Yeah, no, that's true. But that's a good point, Toby. I agree with that. That's a nice way to frame it too.
They sold that guy for a profit. Come on, so I think that's a
So I take the point about Dortmund scouting being really good, but again, it's just for me, it's like they're really, really like well off club in comparison to Ajax, and
no, that's not true.
Relatively speaking, in terms of what they're actually capable of spending, Dortmund's spending power is very, very underrated. They just go for certain players.
Bro, Ajax. In terms of, are we talking about the way I interpret that is like, club stature as well as spending power. I don't think that Dortmund have a better appeal like ubiquitously than Ajax, because I mean, look, Ajax have the Cruyff cosign. That alone is nuts. Like, that is what has kept them extremely, extremely relevant in years of, like before they came into this new era of really showing themselves at a European stage and dominating Eredivisie. There was a period where Feyenoord were also like running things, PSV were running things, and the only reason they still maintain some level of, not the only reason, but one of the reasons was the Cruyff cosign. So I think when it comes to the point of, resources available, whether that's finances or club stature, with Monaco, I can hold, because Monaco, the country, as we know, is just for the rich, right? But now with Dortmund and Ajax, I think it's a level playing field, because sure, maybe Dortmund have a slight edge in terms of finances because Bundesliga is bigger than Eredivisie. But when it comes to stature and what the clubs can actually do for you in terms of development, it's not as clear cut. Let's not forget, Dortmund almost got liquidated in 2001, early 2000s. They almost got scrapped as a club, but then Bayern Munich had to save them. So I think that's not a fair statement to make, bro. I think it's honestly level playing field when it comes to Dortmund and Ajax.
I can't fight you, because that is a very valid point. Like, them also being that close to not existing is, I can't put that by the wayside. If I look at the types of players that they're more likely to sign, Ronaldo's been trying to find a club this summer. He's been linked to every single club in the Champions League. There's no chance in hell that Ajax would ever find a way to try and afford Ronaldo. But Dortmund can make the statement to say, we're not interested in Ronaldo. The types of players that they can attract they're just not the same. Like, the players that eventually find relevance to the Eredivisie, I'd probably give the best example of two recent cast-offs. Tadic leaves the Premier League, he ends up in the Eredivisie, and then he re-finds himself. PSV recently signed Xavi Simons from PSG, right? And the types of players that Eredivisie clubs end up trying to save and trying to resuscitate are often of a much lower profile than the types of players that Dortmund can attract, because the league does play a huge role. There's no world where Haaland would have gone to Ajax and not Dortmund.
Okay,
the league is just of a much lower profile. Like, I do think what Dortmund need to do to be successful isn't as, especially in a European context, isn't as difficult as what Ajax needs to do financially.
Yeah, I hear that.
Okay, they're fair.
Yeah. But no, look, ultimately, I think you could argue about this forever. Like, I don't think that there is one truly correct answer.
I would lie. It's Monaco, eh? Oaks, David Trezeguet, Thierry Henry. I'm looking at the list now, bro. James Rodriguez. Dude, it's ridiculous what these guys have done, guys. Like, it's actually insane.
But Malcolm, if we're speaking all time, like Ajax have also given us some.
No, but I think it depends if you're judging it on income, of how much they've made off these players, or you just talent-wise eye test. But then if it's eye test, you have to go Monaco, I think.
That's a good point, Toby. Like, in terms of Monaco. Oaks, Evra, Alan Saint Maximin, Adebayor, like, come on. Yaya Toure came from fucking Monaco, Oaks. It's actually ridiculous, like, how many players these guys have, like, talent-wise. I'm even shocked because I forgot about half of it. Macon. No, guys, come on.
Actually, I've got a question to the group as well. So, for example, if you are in this position as in like Ajax, Monaco, Benfica, all these, you had that selling club model, right? So is that a case of now you just like that's your thing now, you have it for life? So like you can't really compete because every summer people just take your team, they take off half your players, they take half your squads. So like, do you think there's ever a chance where some of these clubs will be like, no, we actually want to become like, not a serious club, but you know what I mean? Like we actually don't want to have this model anymore. Maybe we want to just, become like a major powerhouse team, maybe something like that.
So are you like asking like how do they transition from being a selling club to like bro, it takes bravery. Like if I can give you my point of view, something like that would have to come from the owner or the director of sports, because it takes a serious level of bravery to say, okay, we're going to say fuck, because the reason why these clubs run in this manner is so that they can remain competitive. So what you then have to do if you're going to take that next step is you have to say, okay, we're going to disband our model and impact our potential, forecasts with our income and our revenue. And we're going to focus on this group and we're just going to really try and assert ourselves. And Dortmund did it and it fell short and they almost went to shit when Klopp left because they said, fuck it, we're not selling Royce, we're not selling, whoever they could fend off from Bayern Munich. They said, we're keeping them. They went to a Champions League final. They lost to Bayern Munich. And then Lewandowski said, I can't do this anymore. He left. And then a bunch of Oaks Hummels left. And then you see what I'm saying? So it's like, in terms of what you need to do, it's less about the manager and it's more about the board and the stockholders, because it's a massive risk. If this doesn't result in like a Champions League and multiple league titles, mate, you're going to go back to mid-table straight.
Yeah, and I think just to add on to your point, because a lot of these clubs, the ticket prices are very, very cheap. Very cheap. So I guess this is probably one of the ways they make their money. Like this is probably
every league outside the Prem, I think this is like the main way to stay affordable, especially in Germany.
I didn't know that. I'm used to Arsenal absolutely robbing niggas.
Bro. No, even this United game I want to go watch. Almost £100 really... for a ticket, bro.
Say that again, Toby.
Saying because I want to go watch Palace, right? But that's in 2023. It's £100, bro.
That's nuts. That's actually insane. Yeah, Khanya, you gonna say?
I was gonna say, every other league tries to make their tickets somewhat affordable. Bundesliga probably the most famous for it. The 50+1 model and everything else. Like they are caps set in place to try and be as affordable and as much for the people as possible.
And has that always been?
As far as I've been aware, from the moment I became aware that Premier League prices were the way they were, I started seeing other articles about other comparisons to other leagues, and it's been the case since then.
Other leagues are very, very.
Man. Then shout out to Olaf Scholz. That man's clearly running that country grand, bro. Because dude, like Toby, you told me Arsenal ticket prices were like how much again for like season tickets?
Oh yeah, that's touching like what in terms of pounds we're talking about like 1.2, but there's there's like a 30-year waiting list anyway. But I think so that's like in rands that's touching like what more than 21k, 22k for a season ticket. But yeah, it's a lot of money.
Rent, fam, that's insane.
But yeah, it's crazy, man. That's why you have to grind.
But there was one other thing I want to discuss with you boys. We haven't had a time to look at what West Ham are like this season. I for one thought they'd be competing for top 6 easily. Foolishly, I really did think that they were going to be ahead of Chelsea, low key. But that is of course informed by my great, very well documented dislike of that club as well. But Toby, I wanted to hear from you because you've been vocal about it from the very beginning before we even saw any of these games. What do you think has actually gone wrong?
So I think not in terms of what's gone wrong, because it's quite David Moyes, I think, is in that era of having to evolve as a coach. And I say that because he's always had certain type of player profiles, I would say, where maybe it's like, the standard footballer that can do his job. But now with the recent signings, I think they are trying to get, like, he's going to have to learn that you cannot be playing the type of football he was trying to play before. You're going to have to, I guess, become a more possession-based team. Like last season, what type of football would you say they were playing really and truly?
Brexit.
Yeah, that's like, bro, like, okay, I say this because people like, what's his name? Paquetá, they just recently signed. How much? 60 M's?
60 M, yeah.
60 M's.
Add-ons included.
Bro, I guess Cornet was playing Brexit football with Burnley. But I mean, like, these are kind of like creative players, expansive players. They don't want to be playing that type of football. So Moyes is going to have to, I think he's trying to experiment, but maybe it's not really who he is. So my recommendation is, I've said this, sack David Moyes, get in Pochettino, and you have a UCL tied next season, not the next 2 seasons. This season, that team can get to the UCL. They can challenge for some titles.
Can I add to that, Tobes? Yeah. Can I just add to that point?
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, look, it's you framed it in a very politically correct way, but honestly, it's just Brexit ball. Is West Ham have run on that for years. They deviated it from it a bit when they had Dimitri Payet, but ultimately Payet left because he wasn't being supplemented by the right players for what he needed to do. Brexit ball is quite simple, yeah. You have the big centre halves. How many? Craig Dawson made how many appearances last season at 30 something? Craig Dawson was like their starting centre back. Like the fact that he was benching the likes of like I know Ogbonna had injuries and whatever, but like he was their starting oak at 31. It's you have Craig Dawson, you have Mark Noble. I know he was in his last season there, but for the past 3 seasons he's been a very prominent player. The Brexit ball is like you have a few foreign oaks, but we are sticking to the English core. And when Mikel Antonio developed as a striker, that's why West Ham peaked because now you had a clear identity of English football there, where you have the physical forward, you have a few creative lads behind him, you have the hearts, the English midfield, the runners, and then you have the experienced centre backs. It was a very, very clear plan. And to your point, I feel Moyes is encountering at West Ham now what he encountered when he arrived at United. The very famous story of when he took Ferdinand and Vidic aside and said,
"Dude, told him to defend like Jagielka."
He said, "We're gonna watch Jagielka together, and you're gonna learn how to defend." Dude, it's a very similar thing now where he's been given resources that I don't want to say he doesn't know how to manage, but it's not his natural playing style. When you get Skamaka, when you get Paquetá, you're not dealing with players with the same, maybe physically. I mean, in terms of football, it's similar, but mentally, like I've played with a lot of European oaks. This idea of run, put your studs through someone, get excited when someone puts your studs through someone, it doesn't resonate with them the same. So Moyes, look, I'm not saying it's relegation season for them, man, but I think the underachieving is going to be such that he ends up without a job. Bringing in Poch, however, and I want to hear Rindai on this because I know Rindai has some strong feelings about Pochettino, but bringing in Poch, however, I'm also like, if you bring in Pochettino, to me, it cements that you're fine being a club that finishes, 6th, 5th, 6th, 7th, maybe top 4 once every few years. But yeah, that's just my take. I think Moyes is out of his depth, and it's unfortunate because he's a good manager. And I think West Ham should have stayed pro Brexit, but it is what it is, man.
No, Rindai, this is your opportunity. Please, what do you think about Pochettino as the potential replacement if we're saying Moyes has reached the ceiling?
Yeah, I agree with what Malcom said. Like, that's just a mediocre nigga, bro. Everything about him is mediocre. So I do think he'll be better than Moyes, but like, I don't think if I was West Ham, I'd rather take a risk on like a hit or miss manager. You feel me?
Can you name some, please, sir?
I mean, I have to think about that. I don't know.
Poch is the only available oak. He is the guy. He is the way forward. I'm trying to tell oaks, but they don't want to.
If Poch is the only option, then you have no options.
That's
how I feel about that.
Damn.
Like as well as he did at Spurs and Southampton, I do have certain biases towards him. I disagree with how much hype he got for doing. I don't know, like everything happened at Spurs in a really opportune time. Like he happened to find Harry Kane blossoming. The striker who everyone thinks is about to become the all-time Premier League top scorer happened to coincide with his reign. And of course, he helped develop him, and he's a good coach. But I don't know. I don't think that Moyes has done so badly that his job should already be under threat. And I also think we have to keep in mind that this is West Ham, guys. Like West Ham haven't been for a long time. They haven't been a club that's really been competing for top 6, and Moyes has turned them into that.
Bro.
No, look,
I was about to say
the money. No,
Yeah.
they've spent the money, but that's because Moyes has put them into the position. West Ham were in the Europa League semi-finals last year, guys. That is a ridiculous achievement. He deserves, I think, he deserves the time because he's got enough credit in the bank to say, you know what, this guy's gonna figure it out. This isn't even Moyes' first stint at West Ham. When he first came in, he saved them from relegation, didn't get the job full time. He's come back he came back when they were in a similar situation and has brought them to where they are now.
Yeah, I agree.
There is a big adjustment that he needs to make, definitely, like in terms of how he's previously coached.
Yeah.
But I think he needs time to have the platform, and I don't think you should be trying to sack him unless you have a manager who is a massive upgrade on him. I don't think they'll go down.
Okay.
So you is your point of view. See, the thing is, I'd agree with you if there was a clear and distinct core that West Ham had. So the reason why I feel Pochettino stayed at Spurs for as long as he did was because he, like, I disagree with you saying he found Kane at an opportune time. I think Kane's development was like 60% on Pochettino. I don't think if Pochettino's there, I don't think Kane gets the rise into the first team the way he did. But the reason why Poch stayed at Spurs, even through some disappointments, was because the core of that team, Tobi Alderweireld, Jan Vertonghen, Hugo Lloris, Kane, later Son, and at the time it was Dembele, who I think is the most underrated centre mid of the last decade. That was his team, bro. Like, that was his identity. At West Ham, however, the influx of players, and I don't know who said it earlier, I think maybe it was you, Khanya. The influx of players have come in such a haphazard way that it's like, it almost seems to me that Moyes isn't behind a lot of these signings, man.
Yeah,
it almost seems to me. Sorry, you're gonna say, Toby?
That's what I was gonna ask you. I was gonna say, do you think he's the guy that's signing these odes?
I don't think so, bro. I think if Moyes had it his way, he'd stick with Bowen, maybe get Gibbs White. You know, they were selling him. Get Gibbs White.
Is hard. Please respect him. Please,
no, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he's bad, but I'm telling you, Moyes' identity would be like Gibbs White, Bowen, Barnes on the left, Antonio up top. I think Moyes prioritizes people that have that English mentality, right?
Yeah.
And at this point in time, it almost seems like this squad is above him, not in terms of his ability as a coach, but in terms of his connection with the players. And when there's that disconnect, when a board can look at a group of players and not see the coach's identity on those players, it's very, very easy to sack that manager, bro. It's so easy to get rid of that manager. It happened to Bilic when he was at West Ham. Exact same thing happened to him. If Arteta didn't have his imprint on these young players, he would have been gone too. It's why Emery was gone, because we were signing players and they were good players, but they weren't Unai Emery's players. They were just good players. So in terms of what West Ham should do, I agree, Khanya. Moyes deserves more time. He has warranted that. But I think a mid-table finish could see him getting the axe. I will not even lie.
Yeah,
hey? Like,
that was what
truly,
I was
truly.
next. So what position in the table for him is a flop, or for them is like alarm bells are ringing for Moyes?
Outside of it, like lower than 8th. I think lower than 8th. They can't finish lower than that.
You think they'll put it ahead of Brighton this season the way they're playing?
I have to assume it'll click later purely because the player quality is what it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I might be foolishly optimistic on that, but I really do. I have a soft spot for David Moyes, honestly. I hate how his United didn't win. It really bothers me that Ferguson left the squad he did. Moyes only signed 2 players in those 2 windows he had, and then it was done. And every other manager got so much more time than he did. And he definitely had the weakest base to work from. He found a team used to one coach for 20 years, and he was expected to compete for the title with that team. They finished lower last season. They finished with less points, I think, as well, than they did under Moyes.
But also now to I agree, he was definitely used as a scapegoat, but we can't ignore that whilst his team he inherited was deteriorating slightly.
The job was too big for him. The job was too big for him.
I was gonna say the onus is on him a bit.
The job was too big for him, but I would have liked them to just try and trust him, to just look at something else, because I felt like United were chasing Fergie's shadow until until now. Only in this season do I feel that they've looked and said, you know what, we're not going to find another Sir Alex. You have to just try and adjust.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But so where does Moyes rank, I guess, for coaches in terms of you, man? What do you rank him? Where do you rank him, shall I say?
Khanya?
I won't lie. Now I have to be honest. That he's not like top 5 coach in the league. I don't think he's better than Graham Potter. I don't think he's better than Wolves manager either.
Yeah.
His name is lost on me right now.
Bruno Lage.
Bruno Lage, yes, thank you. So like he's a top 10 coach, and it's entirely plausible that this is Moyes' last season, and maybe rightfully so. The point Sheik's raised about his team maybe not being his signings is potentially a worrying one. But I'd like to think that it's possible that he is actively trying to expand, and he's never had the chance to. He coached Real Sociedad for a bit. I'd like to think that there's more to Moyes' footballing lexicon than this one style of football that he's played primarily out of necessity until now. And now that he's built this base that he's trying to now recruit. But before I end my last point, I wanted to say about Poch at Spurs. You're right that Kane developed massively under Pochettino, and he does deserve credit for his job holistically. I just think that Pochettino also showed he didn't necessarily know how to try and transform a side after what he initially encountered. He ran that Spurs side into the ground, and the moment he tried to move forward, when he made his new signings, Dombele, Lo Celso, in that last win just before he got sacked, when he finally did get money and made Spurs' record signings, they're all gone. The Miller is now at Napoli. Like, those were his players.
But that's expected. That's what happens though. When a manager that's been there for a while has these players and he gets sacked, his players always get sold. Like almost ubiquitously, that's the case.
I mean that might say a little bit about like his own identification of his players. Like his approach to building that squad, like especially towards like the latter years of Dembele and Eriksen, like when you could see they were about to leave, like for me he moved too slowly and didn't have a succession plan. He was almost building from scratch in his last season, and that's ridiculous.
So are you saying it's an indictment on him that his players got sold?
To a certain extent, might be a bit unfair, but I do think like he took too long. Like the way he maneuvered himself just didn't make sense to me for a long time.
Okay.
I have a different view on that. I think it's natural for a manager's players to get sold when they leave a club, because a lot in this era you sign system players, and a new manager will come in with a completely different system. Pepe, example, as soon as Arteta came in, he promoted a kid from the academy in place of Pepe, who was signed under Emery. Like, very seldom will you find a manager inheriting a team. Actually, I'm just saying Pepe did. Socrates, Luis, like there's a whole bunch of players that Arteta ushered out at Arsenal, and that's just one example. I think it would happen at United too if they didn't bless niggas with donations in terms of their salaries. I think you'd find that happening too. I don't think. Look, I'm not necessarily pro or anti Pochettino. I just kind of want him to be placed in the right segment in history, and I just feel he's viewed as like a martyr sometimes when he actually underperformed given the opportunities he had. But I wouldn't take it to the point to now discredit him as a manager or his recruitment of players. I think Dombele and Lo Celso had jobs at Spurs, right? They just got a manager who is the most extremist when it comes to tactics and tactical implementation after Poch left. And I don't think that's an indictment on Poch. It's just Conte is quite literally the diametric opposites to Pochettino as a coach. Look, I'm all for slandering Pochettino because he ruined my goats, but I think I'm just of the mind that he should be framed fairly. Like the Kane thing, for example. Like Kane is his product. I'm sorry, Harry Kane had been playing football for years before Pochettino came. He'd been getting loaned. He'd been getting axed at Leicester and there. It's only when Poch arrived and said, "Hey, dude, I've actually got a plan for you." And I remember watching him, was it 13, 14, when I said, "Who's this guy? Why are they giving him so many minutes and games?" And Poch said, "You'll see." Nah, you have to give Poch that dap, bro. No ways.
Wait, when you say ruined your goat, who are you speaking about?
Say that again, bro.
You said Pochettino ruined your goat.
Leo Messi gave Toby too much ammo. Yeah, way too much ammo. I was so sick. I had to mute the word on my TL, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, no, look, I hear you. And again, I can hold that I am biased. I struggle to give Pochettino all the credit. So I'll acknowledge that it's not necessarily the easiest way to try and properly evaluate everything he's done at Spurs. And I guess you could technically argue even he deserved more time, especially since they then went to Mourinho and kind of went sideways and didn't back the money that didn't back him with the money that they were trying to, I guess.
Before you move on, how did it end for Poch at Spurs again? Did he have like an underwhelming final season, or?
I remember
he didn't finish the season.
Yeah.
He just lost a lot of games. He lost to Brighton.
Oh
They
yeah,
were
mid-season, then he
really
got capped.
underwhelmingly, and then Mourinho was available, and then he was done.
Yeah, it was after they went to the Champions League final, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
The worst final of all time. My God,
without a doubt.
that was shit, Oaks. Yo,
bro.
the Brexit
game died in 10 minutes.
Bro,
that was horrific. And speaking about that's just put me off. Lads, I think we should have our closing remarks for the episode. Toby, please kick us off. Any last thoughts you have?
Any last thoughts is that I'll see you at Old Trafford, sirs. I'll see you at Old Trafford. Man United 2, Arsenal 0.
Wow.
Okay.
Rindai?
Yeah, for me, I just want to say I'm happy my boy Sterling's got a brace this weekend.
Yeah, we gotta big him up. We gotta big him up.
We gotta put some respect on his name.
Big moments.
His first goal was cold too. People were trashing him, but yeah, I'm just happy my brother's up there now. He got his name on the board.
that's a good one. Closing remarks. Midweek football, love to see it. Casemiro and Anthony, we are watching. We are watching closely. And I want to say, Oaks, this La Liga season and this Serie A season, I am glued. They look fucking compelling. Madrid matches are always a great time to watch because it seems they're at that place where, like, they're their own worst enemy. You know what I mean? Where like they're so good now and they've kind of found a model to move forward with. But it's kind of like City last season or like the season before last, where they dominate games and they're clearly the better team, but they just kind of stitch themselves. And it's always so interesting to see how they find a way back, kind of like what City did this weekend. So I'm glued to that. I'm glued to the Barcelona re-up. Lewandowski. Oh, we need to talk about that, man.
Yeah.
But that's my hit. Thank you.
Your hit, dude. You what? Were you? So you're saying you called Lewandowski when you were 12, 13? Yeah. So I want to say that, and yeah, no, Serie A watch. But yeah, the main one, Casemiro, Anthony, we are watching, my friends.
Oh my goodness.
No, look, it's an exciting week ahead. And on that point, Oaks, there's actually a game. There's a game that I really hope you guys all watch. Our listeners as well. Atletico are about to play.
Valencia.
I am extremely excited about the demise of that club. Witzel's still playing at centre back, and I'm really, really excited about this Liga season. As Sheikh said, I really do think Barca are front runners right now, and I think there's a lot to be excited about outside of the Prem, and I hope Oaks are paying attention to that.
Yep.
Yeah, but Oaks, thank you for today. Thank you for joining us.
Whoa! Sorry, Khanya. One last thing. Dude, did you see? Speaking of Atletico Madrid, they just released the squad. Can I please read it to you? Because I didn't know things were like this. I haven't watched them play this season.
Please go ahead, sir.
Starting 11, you have Oblak in goal. I think he's recovered from his concussion. So they're playing a 5-3-2. It's Oblak in goal. Llorente right back. Gimenez centre back. Witzel centre back. Mandava centre back. Saul left wing back. No, Oaks. Saul.
That's where he was playing for them the past 2 seasons, though. Outside of that Chelsea stint, that's why things turned out. He hadn't played as a midfielder in like 2 years.
But dude, wasn't he playing as like a left mid?
He's now a left wing back, sir. Things are not great.
Oh my God!
But before we get sidetracked, because we can go on forever, I've been your host, Khanya Mosetlhi, Malcom, Masvikwa, Rindai, and Toby. Thank you all for joining me, and we'll see you guys soon.
Whatever.